Why did they call me Batty Jackson? Because I'm the best. Why do they call him Michael Jordan? Why do they call that hockey guy Stanley? Why do they call him Tiger Woods? Because we are all the best at what we do. And what do? Playing baseball. You see, no. It's not a nickname. Batty Jackson is my real name. My father, you see, my dad, he loved baseball. When I was younger, he was always watching baseball on the television. I would go up to him, I mean a little too much. I would go up to him and I'd say, "Hey Dad," he'd say, "No, Batty, I'm watching baseball." So, my dad chose that name for me out of his love for baseball, and I respect it. I love that name. It's not a nickname, it's my real name. It's on my birth certificate. Okay? It's real. What was my favorite part about the moon? Oh, the food. Oh, my least favorite part. Leaving, I think. Definitely leaving. You see, I don't know if you know the story, so let me tell you the story. You see, I was the guy. I was that guy. I was at the top of the world. He said, you know what they call me? Batty Jackson, the baseball star, the baseball man. And it was right before that season, the World Series season. My manager calls me up. He says, "Batty Jackson," he says, "baseball man," and he says, "I got a proposition for you." I'm not even thinking about the moon yet. I'm just thinking, what can this exciting opportunity be for me? And he says, "Batty, we're sending you to the moon." I'm thinking, what a great opportunity this is. So, that was before the season started. My team, I had to leave them behind. They said, "I'm the first baseball player in space. I'm going to go, hit some balls up there in the moon." And so, I got on that rocket ship. I went to the NASA. They sent me up there, and I'm on the moon now. And it was a wonderful experience. Let me tell you, being on the moon changes a man. But let me also tell you that my least favorite part was coming back. Now, see, I was up there all season, if you remember. You probably do. It was all over the news. Baseball man goes to space, they called it. So I'm all up there. I'm on the moon. My team made it to the World Series, and I'm thinking that's great. I'm thinking that's fantastic. They called me up there when I was on the moon. They said, "Batty, we want you to come down. We want you to. We're doing the World Series. It's the World Playoff where you're gonna win the baseball game for us, Batty. You're coming home, and you're gonna be the pitcher." I was delighted. They told me I was gonna pitch the World Series with my team right after I came back from the moon. So I get down there, back to the planet as quick as possible. I don't know what happened. I thought I was gonna have a little more time than I did. They told me, you're on. Go get out there. The game's already happening. I just got back. I just landed. I'm here now. I'm on the ground. They put me in the stadium. The game's already being played. I'm ready. I'm the pitcher, I suppose. They gave me the ball. They said, go out there, Batty. You're the baseball man. Batty Jackson, the baseball man. You gotta do your thing. So I walk out there. I just got back from the moon. I've literally been back for maybe 5 minutes, and they put me out there. They say, "Batty, do it." I walk out onto the plate, the pitching plate. I'm ready to pitch. I do my swing, and I'm looking out at the stadium, out of the crowd. It's the World Series. I'm looking out there, and I see just hundreds of people. It's the World Series. Everybody's watching. Hundreds of people are watching the World Series every time it happens. And so I'm watching it, and it psyched me out. I don't know what happened. I'm sitting there, standing on the plate. I'm sitting there, and I'm thinking, there's so many people here. There was not this many people on the moon, and that psychs me out. So, but I know that I have to do my baseball thing. So I grab the ball, put it in my hands. I do my wind up. I throw it, and it throws onto the ground. It didn't even get not 3 feet in front of me. Batty Jackson is ruined. As soon as I got from the moon, I got back from the moon, and that was my peak. So yeah, I'd say my least favorite part of the moon was leaving the moon. Yeah, no, yes, we lost the World Series. We didn't. Nobody else won anything. I'll tell you what I won. My team, they gave me this hat. Look at this. Batty Jackson, career ruined by going to the moon. That was the headline. You see, when I was going to the moon, I didn't know this at first, but they told me, they said, Batty, you gotta prepare for the moon. There's less gravity. There's no gravity on the moon. You're gonna be floating around unless you know what's up. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm Batty Jackson. I know how to handle situations. They tell me, Batty, you're gonna have to wear that spacesuit. I said, okay, but I might make a few modifications. Now I'm thinking, they told me there's no gravity, right? So what's going on in my mind, in my head, my thinker, I'm thinking there's no gravity, so that means there's less friction, right? So I'm afraid I'm gonna float away. I'm afraid I'm gonna slide around. I'm nervous. So I put ice skates on my space boots, and I didn't want to slide around. I thought I'm gonna be the fastest guy on the moon. It's simple. It's a basic logic from Batty Jackson. So I went there to the moon. They said I was on the moon, and I put my first skate into the ground, and it stuck there. And my blades of my ice skates, they got stuck on the moon. They got stuck in the moon dust, in the space dirt. That's not good. So what did I have to do? I took off my boots. I just took them off. Now I'm sitting there. I'm standing on the moon, and I'm barefoot. I'm not wearing any socks. I'm barefoot. My feet, I got space dust on me. My feet are getting all moon dirty, and it didn't work. I'm not floating away, and I'm not sliding around, but now I got dirty space feet. And when I came back, they took them. They said, no, Batty, Mr. Jackson, baseball king, you cannot have those feet because they are contaminated, and we need to amputate both of your legs. I'm thinking, that's not that good. So they cut off my legs, and they put them in the Space Baseball Museum, the Spaceball Museum, and that's where they still lie today. You can go see it. Go see my space feet. They're dirty. They never cleaned them. Now I've got robot legs. I didn't know this at the time. When I was at the World Series, I don't think my legs affected me. You see, there's no gravity on the moon. And so when I was up there on the moon, okay, now that my baseball career is ruined, what I'm going to tell you, I can tell you my secret to playing the ball, playing the game. I'm the pitcher, right? And I'm not the fastest pitcher in the world, but I'm the baseball man. But I'm not the fastest. I'm not the king of pitching. I'm not the hardest thrower. I'm not the big guy. I'm the star. And so I don't throw the best, but I take my baseball, and what I'm envisioning when I'm out there at the plate, the pitching plate, I throw the ball. I throw it as if it's gonna go around the whole world and come back and hit me in the neck. What am I aiming for when I'm pitching that ball? I'm not aiming it at the batter. I'm not aiming it at the ump. I'm aiming it at my neck. If I go all the way around, I know I'm not gonna actually be able to throw it all the way around the earth, but I'm throwing it as hard as I can. And so they asked me to play some ball on the moon. I get there. I'm thinking I can't use my same tactics anymore because the moon is smaller. So if I throw it as hard as I do on Earth to try to go all the way around, it'll just float away. So what did I have to do? I had to adjust my pitching strategy when I was up there. I had to throw the ball a little softer so that it would go in the same places that I wanted it to. Batty Jackson, I was the king of strategy on the moon. And so I'm on the moon. I'm throwing my ball. It's it's going right where I want it to do. I'm getting used to it. I'm having fun. I'm playing ball. I'm in space. I'm the king. I'm at the top of the world. I'm in space. And what happens next? When I come back to Earth, I'm not used to Earth. I'm still pitching like I'm pitching on the moon. In that World Series game, every time I threw the ball, it just wasn't enough. And so, I was just ruined. I think that could be it. But you see, what else happened? Now, when I was you may be looking at, this was just 2 years ago. You may be looking at the tapes, the footage from when I was still the big baseball guy, the baseball man. They called me Bag Jackson, baseball man. And you look at those tapes, you see me pitching my pitch, see me playing my game, my baseball game. That was me. That's what I do, and what I did, I guess. You see sometimes before I throw the ball, sometimes before I throw the pitch, I toss it up in the air and wait for it to fall back into my hands. I toss it up, I catch it a couple times, whoop, 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 I'm just throwing it up. You've seen me, you've seen Batty. So I was doing that on the moon to get ready. See, the reason why I do that is because when I was little, as I said, my dad really loved baseball. And so, he'd be sitting there on the couch, he'd be watching the baseball game. He was always watching the baseball games until, at the one point when he was always watching the games. Yeah, he was sometimes a little distracted. So I go up to him, I say, "Daddy, you want to play catch?" He said, "Not now, Batty, I'm watching the game." So, I mean, this is no big deal. So I'd go out and I'd play catch by myself in the yard, that's how I do it. I throw the ball up and then I catch it myself. So it's like I'm playing both sides of the game. And so that's what I'm used to doing. I'm always used to playing by myself. And so that's my tactic. So I went to the moon, started throwing the ball up in the air. And the ball, I threw it up in the air, and it left and it never came back. Just like Dad.